Hey everybody, it's Master Gallengeist here, bringing you my review of Fantastic Four Issue 12, 2022. And this is a pretty nice looking cover. It really does sell the Fantastic Four fighting Dinosaur Avengers. Now, I know that this concept sounds batshit insane, and that, this one would be kind of like a hard pill to swallow, but I think they executed this very well, at least for me, because this could have went really wrong, but it just fit to what we've been seeing of the Fantastic Four, being put into this kind of crazy situation and seeing how they kind of go about it. So, we kind of start off with the premise and seeing that Ben got contacted by one of the Yancey Street people, and that they're like, wait a minute, a guy from Yancey Street gang lives here? He farms? He got out, Torchy, same as me. Strangely, they reached out to you after all this time. You hadn't heard from him since you were kids, right? Don't know what to tell you, Stretch. Something weird happens. The man thinks to call me. So they kind of knock. They see it. The dude has a cool little thing with Ben, saying that he's prematurely changed a bit. Hardy har har. And then we see them pretty much just having a nice little kind of chill kind of get together at first, trying to get acquainted before the shimmer, as they're talking about that's kind of what brings it kind of out. It's like, what the hell is this? Talking about who's got like what Sue's doctorate's in, and she jokes that it's marine biology. And then Johnny like spits his drink everywhere, but like uses his flames to like mop it up. She actually studied archaeology, and one of them's like, oh cool, like Indiana Jones, more like Kathleen Kenyon, but sure. And she's talking about how artifacts tell you about the people who use them, and that's always been where her interest lies. And speaking of interest, right, taking the hint, so we now get to move along and go and see what this shimmer thing's about. And we kind of look at it, and it's really kind of crazy looking. I really like the art selling what kind of craziness this is. Also, Ben's friend kind of like inquires about the kids. Ben really doesn't really want to get into it. He's like, alright, of course, sorry man. And said that it's kind of hard to describe the shimmer. They threw it through rocks that disappeared, but beyond that, nothing. And that it like took down the trees that were in the area. And as Reed kind of like goes in, he's like saying, we should keep our distance, as he's pretty much stretching himself to like look at it, and then they all get sucked in. It's like, ah shit, that's not good. Sue screaming that Nick should call for help and back up. It's like, oh god. And then we see shortly, and we see what looks like it should be our Avengers coming into the fray, with the Cap being like, I came as soon as I got your call, Tony. We all did. What manner of dark magic is this? The cage is improvised with my magic and some of Tony's technology. As for what's inside it, neither myself nor any other Sorcerer Supreme has seen anything like it before. We don't know what happened here, or why they're speaking a language nobody's ever heard before. All I can say for certain is this. Something very weird has happened to the Fantastic Four, as we then see the Dinosaur Avengers, the Fantastic Four in Sar Winners, which, that's actually pretty good. Puns can be groan-worthy for me, but when it's done like that, I'm like, okay. And it's really kind of cool to see all the Avengers as different kind of dinosaurs, and actually having kind of what their dinosaur is under it. Like Iron Man's a Brachiosaurus, Black Widow's a Quetzalcoatlus, Captain Marvel's a Lambeosaurus, Captain America's a Spinosaurus, and Doctor Strange is a Tungosaurus. Then we see that we understand what the dinosaurs are saying, but they have no idea what's what the Fantastic Four is saying. So it's like, oh, okay. And it makes sense that they're like, we don't know who they are. We don't know what's going on here. Let's just keep this like this. But of course, this happens because communication breakdowns, as all kind of any kind of miscommunication kind of works out between heroes, and then we get them pretty much like going against each other. Cage looks like it's cracking strange. Yes, Tony, I'm aware. But if even the combination of magic and tech can't hold them, I'm not sure what can. And then, of course, we don't really need much to understand that Ben's talking about clobbering time. Tony using cooling to like get around Johnny's fire. We get the same pretty much, and it's really kind of interesting because they have the same kind of dynamics that we've pretty much been seeing in other kind of comics. Now, granted, I haven't seen this creative team handling the Avengers before, but it lines up enough. Tony and Marvel joking back and forth about how many times they've saved each other, what this counts as. Her sending the energy of Johnny back at him. Thor talking about how the puny force field's not going to stop him. And by Odin's feathers, she moved both Mjolnir and myself, as she pretty much uses her force field to move the air around Mjolnir and throw it back at Thor, which is a pretty interesting kind of tactic. Cap's trying to like help him out, but Johnny is like blasting shit. But then he gets captured by Doctor Strange's cloak, and Ben is grabbing at Cap's shield, and then of course Thor is throwing Mjolnir down at them, and Sue kind of redirects it so that way it bangs out onto Cap's shield, pretty much creating a giant kind of reverberation effect, taking the energy and just blam to kind of like make a sound energy sound wave to kind of get everybody kind of knocked off their senses as everyone's like, oh, everybody okay? And then we see that Reed pretty much stretches and tries to be like, listen, I'm trying to communicate. And Tony's like, oh, okay. So they pretty much utilize their technology, and we see them kind of slowly getting back into being able to communicate. And I kind of like that. I like that it's not immediately like that, but that it's like a little bits and pieces start and stops. Tony talking about how Reed's using perceptrons in Friday's neural network to sideload an ad hoc translation matrix. That's not a bad idea, actually. Friday, make a note for possible commercialization. Already done, sir. And then we see like a hand please is our possible, all this kind of stuff as they're trying to talk, and then it suddenly gets done. And you ask why I wove computational machinery into my suit. Come on, this is like the one time it's been useful, man. One time? I would like to have that kind of stuff just so that way anybody that's able to use that can use it. I mean, granted, Johnny, you probably don't use it, but come on. My God, Reed, it's working. We can understand you. Can you understand us? We can. Tony Stark, is that you? The one and only. Right. About that, as he like flips up his visor to show himself. That's like, yay, cool. And after a brief explanation from the Fantastic Four, and I like how it just doesn't really take that much. It's like, yeah, we kind of got sucked in here, and that's kind of what happened. We assumed you'd been transformed, corrupted, but if you thought you'd come to a different universe, why attack us? And that's a pretty good explanation, like, pretty good question from Cap being like, yeah, we thought you had been transformed, corrupted. Typical kind of superhero stuff. Because you caged us, and maybe this is a universe where, I don't know, our enemies dress up like superhero dinosaurs to throw us off balance or something. It's happened before. It has not. It's like, okay. Like, granted, the Dino Avengers didn't have much info to go on, and neither did the Fantastic Four, and they kind of just butted heads a little bit. Incredible that our worlds would be so similar given the clear differences in evolution. Stephen, where I'm from, you're a medical doctor who hurt his hands. That holds true here. Hooves, but yes. And Natasha, you're an assassin. Yep. Hero, turned hero. Yep. So we have a dimensional portal to a parallel universe that's very close to ours. Only in yours, everyone is what? A primate? Is that what you call yourselves? We call ourselves humans, which are primate subclass. Yes. Homo sapiens sapiens. You put smart in your taxidermic name twice. Bold choice. But if these four are here and our FF signaled us for help, presumably just as they tripped into the portal too, then it stands to reason that the dinosaur Fantastic Four are in our universe as we speak. And Johnny's like, it should be alright, we figured it out, right? As we then go, and no, that's not working. All of her backup have failed. Dr. Storm seems to block the entire broadcast spectrum. Great, just great. And they're having the same kind of issues. We got Spidey, T'Challa, Thor, Captain Marvel, Captain America. But this is Sam. Because I see the wings and stuff. Which is fine. I got a lot of Captain Americas. Tony. Yeah, and it's really kind of nuts. I like the look of the Dino Fantastic Four as well and how they utilize their powers. So we switch back. It's like, okay, we're going to have to see how that kind of works out. Reed's talking about how they got to wait for the portal to remanifest. Tony's like, listen, this isn't a world for mammals. We got to control it. Control it or close it. Sorry about that. Asking if the kids followed them. No, our children are unavailable. We know where they are, and they're due back soon. And I even got a dog as a new dog as a pet. But I figured another difference then in our universe. Well, your kids are just fine. And then we see the Fantastic Four's kids there as they pretty much have a little bit of a time talking to them about all this different kind of stuff. It's like, yeah, we get it. Honestly, this is probably only the 9th weirdest thing you've done this year. It's like, it's kind of nice to have the kids back into play, even if they're the dino ones. Reed talking about how there's an emotional resonance. Nikki pretty much transforming into our kind of version and giving a hug to Ben, which is really nice. These Richard's kids asking if they're okay, saying that they don't blame them for anything. Ben getting a little bit of time in with Joe as well. And then Cap's like, yeah, looks like you got this in hand. Yeah, thanks, Cap. I can entertain our guests for a few hours till the portal comes back and we get them home. See you back at HQ. So, well, this isn't awkward for me, and I definitely don't regret calling in your kids at all. Listen, we've got some time before the portal returns. Who wants a tour? I'm like, fuck yeah, I'd want a tour of fucking Dino Land. As long as I don't get eaten by anybody. And the whole world scaled to dinosaurs. It's pretty much saying it's incredible. Dinos come in different sizes. That was one of my reasons for making the suit, actually, to escape terrorists initially. Sure, but when I got back home and started upgrading it, it gave me the chance to, for the first time, to fly. Of course, there are commercial airlines for the smaller species, but it's not the same. I hear you, Tony. It's kind of cool to get that kind of understanding. Reed then bringing up the hypothesis, pretty much figuring out that like everything is really similar between the universes, even down to certain kind of like fine structure constant, universal density parameter. Kree Skrull seem to be dinosaur too. Other aliens match. Galactus only appears to be a purple dinosaur. Reed needs to get to Tony's lab now, and that it's as his feared. Our first clue is how similar the human and dinosaur universes are. Despite millennia of wildly divergent evolution, they're both ended up in almost identical places. It's physicist Robert Dick's anthropic principle on a multiversal stage. You mean dynopic principle. Exactly my point, Tony. While this universe went a wildly different direction from ours, dinosaurs never going extinct, humans never evolving, the random chance they're somehow converged with ours, both internally and in its meta-universal location. Our two universes are close enough to merge, but they can't occupy the same space any more than two soap bubbles can. The portal we came through is this first symptom of the coming apocalypse. Kind of sounding like incursions and so forth. But it's mainly because of how similar they are and their kind of proximity to each other. That's kind of like getting that off. As the dinosaur pretty much says, fuck shit, whatever, and Ben's like, yep, there you go. Ben's talking about, can we just blast the two universes apart? Pour enough energy into the null space between universes? Move two universes? We can do that? You're dang right we can, we're the FF. If the energy entering into that universal tear were redirected to the right point, we'd have an outsized effect, like air coming out of a balloon and in a frictionless meta medium. It's not wholly impossible, darling. So what are we waiting for? You big brains build whatever dang machine you need to make this work? Let's go save everyone already. And then the kids are like, my primate dad can beat up your primate dad. They're on the same team, Joe Fenn. Though still, I gotta go with Joe on this one. And then we pretty much waste our time. They pretty much figure out certain kind of things of how it kind of works out. That everything's right on schedule. The portal pops up. Ben talking to the kids and saying, it's been great to know ya. Same, and hey, ask Monkey Franklin if he shared his big secret yet. So that's an interesting kind of tease that we'll have to see what Franklin has in store there. And then, of course, he's utilizing the Nova Flame. Reed is pretty much connected to Tony Soar at this point. Tony Soar? I'll go with that at the moment. And most everybody goes in before we see a green beam of energy knocking both Tony and Reed down. All your valiant effort, but what has it earned you? And then we see, it's like, what the fuck? But of course, this is the Fantastic Four we're talking about, so what's going on? We see Doom. And that's fucking great. I mean, granted, I haven't said much about the art, but I love the art in here. I mean, it just really works very well to showcase the dinosaurs and the people. That's a hard one to be able to do both. But we see that Doom is like merely being crushed beneath my... let me see. But what has it earned you? Merely being crushed beneath my boot. I suggest you remain there, Richards. You may have been the first through this portal, but only I could conceive its true potential. The two universes will merge. Dr. Doom. Doom has preparations to make. It's like, shit, we'll have to see how that works off. And then we also see Doom riding Doom. So that is going to be interesting to see how that kind of works out. So, I like that we have different kind of emergency that the Fantastic Four have to deal with, these two universes. I like how it started off as just a shimmer. They get pulled in, it's like, this is just completely and utterly wacky. Now, granted, the concept sounds like, okay, typical kind of superhero comic book kind of stuff. And if not executed well, it just would feel stupid. I think that this was executed well. But if you don't, that's fine. I understand it's like Dino Avengers, Dino Doom, what the fuck? But that's kind of the Fantastic Four. They explore, they do weird shit, and they deal with weird shit. And we'll have to see what Doom from the dinosaur universe, what his goal and objectives are, and how that'll line up with our universe's Doom. Because this sounds more like an apocalyptic event where they would destroy each other pretty much because of their inability to occupy the same space, unless Doom has figured out a way to merge the realms. Separating them would probably be the best course of action, because then if you merge them and it doesn't work out well, you've got dinosaurs that will then go after and take out the humans, probably. I mean, dinosaurs with superpowers? That's kind of dangerous. I mean, it worked out here with the Fantastic Four and them because they were able to come to, like, a kind of just stop point and be like, hey, we can communicate, we don't need to fight each other. But if you were able to throw them all together, holy fucking shit, that would not be really good. So Doom would have to have a really good kind of plan in place to have to even attempt to make sure that that doesn't go completely pear-shaped, or them all blow up. So Reed is now stuck in the dinosaur universe for the moment. We don't know if it worked out well enough with what happened with the other Fantastic Four, if they were able to successfully push the universes apart, and if they were, we'll have to see what goes on. However, we have not had the dinosaur Fantastic Four linked out, so if anything, all they've got to do is then talk to the dinosaur Fantastic Four. If they've got the same, they would actually be able to talk to them and then figure out and be like, hey Reed, we got to get back to there. So something like that might come into effect since they are separated at this point. So I'm actually really excited to see where this kind of goes. And I wasn't really expecting it. I'm like, dinosaurs? Let's see how this works. I'm like, all right, it's working for me, so let's kind of see how this kind of works out. So those are my opinions on the issue. Tell me what you guys think in the comments below. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, if you agree with me, if you disagree with me. Also like and subscribe, and I hope you have a good day.